Welcome, college basketball fans, to the Full Court Press Podcast with LT and Sammy D. This is the podcast that brings you legendary stories from college basketball's golden era and dives in deep with a current analysis of today's game. Get ready for the most energetic and entertaining college basketball podcast around. Let's get it.
Hello and welcome to another Full Court Press, a college basketball coaches show brought to you by the Full Court Network. Luke Taylor back in the saddle. Sam, my guy Sam Davidson's with me, and I'm really excited. I even shower and shave for this one. This is how excited I'm for this coach. Yeah. We got to see this coach firsthand, and we've heard stories from one of his players' girlfriend's dad, who's a pretty well-known NBA player. He's thinking about it now. 11-year NBA vet. Maybe he played somewhere on the West Coast as a college coach now. Mike Bibby, coach. Mike Bibby. We've heard stories about your practices from his potentially maybe even future son-in-law. Not to start any rumors or stuff like that, but coach, we're really really excited to have you. Kelvin Sampson, Houston Cougars head coach. Welcome to the Full Court Press, coach.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. So Sam, it's funny. I'm doing a little research on Coach Sampson. I mean, the guy. I've always liked you, and I'm not saying that because you're right in front of us. I mean, I'm in Akron, you're in Houston. What are you going to do? Let's be honest. But I've always been impressed with his teams. I can't say I watched your team from Montana Tech, but everywhere he's gone, first year, maybe struggled. I mean, I know how it works. I was a former college coach, as Sam knows. But that second year, for pretty much every program you've gone and continued to build on has been remarkable. And coach, I just want to say kudos to that. We got to see you in the flesh at the Final Four. And what an experience, obviously, that obviously was. I mean, this is your third Final Four, get to the finals. I mean, kind of tell us about that experience a little bit.
Of getting to the Final Four?
Yeah. Especially in this day and age where you're trying to balance recruiting and all this stuff.
Yeah. We've had a lot of, not a lot. I thought 2022's team was a Final Four type team. That was the year that we beat Illinois, the Big Ten champ. Then we beat Arizona, the Pac-12 champ, lost to Villanova. I thought that was a team that we got to the Final Four, would have a chance to get to Monday night. We had another team that we lost at the buzzer to Kentucky. What year was that? That was whatever year that was. That was the year Virginia won it. Yep. I thought that team could get to the Final Four. We've had several teams that, not this year's team, but last year's team, when Shed sprained his ankle and didn't get to play in the Duke game. I thought that team could get to the Final Four. We've had 4 or 5 teams that had a chance, and that's really when you start preparation and start getting your team together. That's the goal. Is can we improve and take this journey and focus on progress and not perfection. Like I track blow-bys in practice. Kingston Flemings the other day got blown by 4 times, and he came in the next day. I said, Kingston, your goal today is not to have no blow-bys, just have 2. Don't chase perfection, son. Just make sure you're progressing. It's a long season. So there's so many mind games that you have to play with kids. Our process here, I've never been to another college coach's practice except Judd Heathcote at Michigan State. And I was a grad assistant for him. That's where I spent my first 2 years in Michigan State. So, every coach is different. The ones that are successful or the ones that's been doing it a long time do it their way. They don't do it somebody else's way. So our process is our process. The way we run our program is the way we run our program. But we have a system that we recruit to. I don't know what this means. Somebody just brought it up to me the other day. I was doing another interview, and they said, "You've never coached a 7-footer." And I started thinking, never really thought about that, but you're right. Our starting center this year was 6'8". Our starting 4-man 6'7". Our backup 5 was about 6'8". I've never really understood. I think fans get attracted to how tall somebody is, and it gets them excited. And, of course, I'm not a fan, so I can't relate to that mindset. But um, but our system is we know what it is. My staff knows exactly what they're looking for in a kid that has success here. And probably the thing that would, if you're looking for a unknown stat about us that would jump out at you, would be in the last 11 years, we've had 4 kids transfer. And I think that goes back to how we evaluate um, the atmosphere here that we've created as far as family. Um, Everybody that's in this program, with the exception of one, was either a former player or manager of mine. So everybody here is connected back to me in some form or fashion, and that creates a lot of teams talk about we're family, we're family, we're family. Well, we are family. I mean, I got managers from Oklahoma. I got operations guy from Washington State. I've got an administrative guy that was a manager at Indiana. Um, all guys, because I've given them an opportunity to get into coaching. I don't think other coaches would hire them because they don't know them. But I know them, and I know how good they are, and what kind of integrity and the character that they have. And these kids are smart. They can sniff a phony. They can sniff frauds. But if they think they're in an environment where they can grow and progress and work toward their goals, whether it's the NBA or whatever. And I think a lot of that credit should go back to our staff.
Yeah, but Coach, you even hit the nail on the head. You literally are family. You have your son and daughter on the staff.
Yeah. I forgot to mention the 2 months more important examples. But the young coaches in this era have a lot of hurdles that I didn't have when I started. Of course, it's embarrassing to say when I started because we didn't have the shot clock or 3-point line either.
It's okay.
That's I guess I'm bringing you up a lot of examples of why I should get out or walk away. I mean, maybe I've been here too long, but I've always appreciated the struggles that I've had to go through, as all coaches should. This is not going to be the Wizard of Oz where you can click your heels and go home. You got to all your experiences, whether they're good or bad, help shape you. But the kind of person you are will come out eventually, and that's where your sustained success comes from. And all the guys on my staff, I'm proud of them. Every one of them, I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of Quantas White getting the opportunity to be the head coach at Louisiana Lafayette. He was awesome here. Yep. Alvin Brooks killing it at Lamar University, he's assistant here. Talvin Hester, who I had earlier, is the head coach at Louisiana Tech. So, being able to help these kids chase their dreams, the players, but also helping our coaches develop and chase their dreams as well. These guys their goal in life wasn't to come here and be Kelvin Sampson's assistant forever. They want to move on and be head coaches, and that's part of my responsibility is to help them achieve their dreams too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you got less. Yeah, I mean, you have less than 100 days until tip-off now, right? I mean, that's kind of the headline across college basketball right now. Can you talk a little bit about some of these early practices you guys are having this summer? And you have such a balanced roster. You talk about not having guys transfer. You have Emmanuel Sharp coming back, Milos, JoJo, as what I would say probably the foundation of your team, with those guys. And then you have the opportunity with people projecting that you could be starting 2 freshmen, as well, 5-star freshmen. How is the balance of that roster looking in the summer right now? And I guess the follow-up to that question is, you have such a reputation for working these guys, pushing their limits, right? So those kind of guys who have a little bit more tenure on the team have experience with these summer workouts. Is that hard for this freshman class to kind of pick up the speed?
A critical group is the group you didn't mention, which is our entire bench is back. Mercy Miller, Chase McCarty, Cordell Jefferson, Said Lott, Jacob McFarland. Every one of those guys came back. They're just as important to us as the guys that are in front of you. They make our culture. They make our practices. I was watching Cordell Jefferson get after Kingston Flemings the other day. It was one of those days where it was kind of a reminder that I'm a 20-year-old junior and you're a little wet behind the ears freshman. So come get some of this, son. But that's what this program's all about, But everybody's got a scrapbook, man. Everybody's, we don't care about that. Leave your ego at the door. You're on the team. Name on this team don't say 5-star freshman. Here's my name. Name on the front of our jersey says Houston. You're part of something far bigger than yourselves. That's part of what our culture is. But everybody talks about culture. It's not the culture, it's the standards. If you have high standards and you meet those standards every day, then you're allowed to have a culture. Fraternities and sororities have cultures. Culture is not nearly as important to me as the standards we set for these kids in practice every day. Then they kind of start leaning on each other because they're going through it the same way. Everybody on this team's status is the same. Marcus Sasser was a first-round draft choice. He wasn't the top 250 high school player in the country. But everybody gets buzzy about a kid that's a 5-star. We've had no stars become first-round draft choices. Quentin was lost in the woods, came here and was a first-round draft choice. Jarris Walker came here, and I don't think I saw him go after 1 rebound for 2 months in the summer playing AAU. Comes here, he's a number eight pick. So the process that it took for them to get there is what all of our players are doing right now. I expect the kids that are back, Chase McCarty and Mercy and that bunch, to take a jump. And then Milos, Emmanuel, and JoJo. Those you couldn't ask for 3 better leaders or culture warriors, as we like to call them, setting the tone every day for that group. But Chris Cenac, Isaiah Harwell, Kingston Flemings, those guys are, they're just going through the woods right now trying not to hit a tree.
Literally going through the woods trying to. No, Coach. A lot of this stuff has come out of some of your practices, how physical they get. And one of my favorite comments I had with Mike Bivy is you had LJ Cryer and 4 linebackers. You guys have like part football in your DNA. It feels on the basketball court. I guess I feel like you put this emphasis more so on defense the last couple of years because you guys are always like number 1 in defensive efficiency. When did that? Have you always kind of had an emphasis on defense when you're coaching?
Yeah, I think it goes all the way back to Washington State. I was a head coach at Montana Tech when I was 25 years old, and I was a head coach in the Pac-10 when I was 31.
God.
Now, the reason for that is certainly not a pat on the back for me. They were hard jobs. They couldn't go get, the high-profile coach to come to a Montana. I was their 6th coach in 3 years. That's literally the truth. Researching. I was the 6th coach in 3 years at Montana.
Coach, why'd you take the job then?
What's that?
Why'd you take the job?
I didn't have one. I went
Good
there.
reason.
I was 24. I was 24 years old.
That's crazy.
What were you doing at 24? Somebody offered you a head coaching job. You took it. So I took it. But the first year, I think we went 7-20.
Yep.
It may say 4-23, but we got more wins in a 10-minute phone call because the team had to forfeit 3 wins to us. And we did it. We got more wins in a 5-minute phone call than we did for 3 months.
Love it. Love it.
I said, there's any way you can research these other schools as if maybe they had it in us. It's one eligible players away from getting into playoffs. And then at Washington State, you're in conference with Mike Montgomery was at Stanford, Lute Olson was at Arizona, UCLA. Ralph Miller was at Oregon State. And they won the league actually that year with Gary Payton.
Yeah.
So, but it was number 10 in a league of 10. Washington State had some of the best fans that I've coached at because they literally loved Washington State. But it was the hardest job in the Pac-10. That's why they hired me. If it was a good job, they would have never hired me. But I had done pretty good at Montana Tech, and Judd Heathcote graduated from Washington State. And had it not been for Judd, I probably wouldn't have gotten the job. But we did pretty good there. And then, you kind of move on. But a lot of times your jobs will develop. The type job you have and the kind of players you can get will determine the way you need to play. We weren't going to get a bunch of Mike Bibbies to Washington State. We had to go get kids that, number one, wanted to be coached because I'm sure I've mellowed a lot over the years, but back in the late 80s when I started, I thought our only chance was to out-compete, out-tough the opponent. We didn't. That in the league that year, my first year was Sean Elliott, Gary Payton. A lot of people didn't realize that Hank Gathers and Bo Kimball started at USC.
Nope.
They transferred to
Loyola.
I was there. We couldn't beat any of those teams. They were better than we were. They had better players, they had better coaches, they were just better across the board. So when you're a young coach, and I was 31 when I got the job, when you're a young coach, you have to figure out really quick is how can we win here? And it's not that you need to come up with a shtick. You just have to have something that you can be consistent with. And I thought that as simple as this sounds, but basketball really is a simple game. It's amazing how people try to make it complicated. But if I could get kids to have the right attitude, if I could get kids to give maximum effort every single day, the stuff nobody wants to hear about, the stuff that's boring and monotonous, but you have to have kids to do that if you're at Washington State. Now, eventually, we got pretty good. We started winning 20 games a year. We got to the NCAA tournament. But those were, I'm so appreciative of the opportunity I had at Montana Tech. If I didn't get the job at Montana Tech, who knows where I'd be? I may be a high school coach. That's kind of what I wanted to be growing up because my dad was a high school coach. Mm-hmm. I never grew up wanting to be a college coach. I didn't know a college coach. I went to an NAIA school, so I never had those dreams. Michigan State would have been a galaxy away from us. But I got an opportunity and I tried to do the best I could with it. My wife, Karen, was with me every step of the way. We just had our 46th wedding anniversary this summer. She's been I'd say she's more like the co-pilot, but you got to have great support from your family.
Yeah.
And you got to have a will to win that the kids can feed off of.
Yeah.
The way we play is a direct reflection of how they're coached.
Yeah. Yeah. If you weren't a coach, what would you have done?
Well, as crazy as this sounds, I was a political science major in college, and I actually took the LSAT, and I got accepted to law school at Wake Forest. So for some crazy reason, I wanted to help the oppressed. I wanted to go defend people and give them an opportunity to live their lives. That they made a mistake, I was going to go help them. I love constitutional law. Um, um, you know, there's a lot of people that influenced me that way. There's a lot of things that happened where I lived that influenced me that way. But my hero and my idol was always my dad. He was a high school coach. And sometimes there's things that you'd like to do, sounds good, but then there's things that you really want to do. And coaching was what I really wanted to do. And I remember coaching a 6th grade girls basketball team, and I had this little 11-year-old girl named Sheila Reagan. This was in mid-70s. And she was the only girl on my team that could make a layup. I had a job. I think I was making $1.65 an hour on Saturdays. So after practice or before practice, I'd go referee games and coach these little girls basketball teams, and I could get 3 or 4 hours in on Saturdays because we had no money. Yeah. And but I had Sheila Reagan, and we won the championship because I had Sheila Reagan. I had nothing to do with it, but I figured out that I was going to make those girls that defended and rebounded and passed the greatest players ever, because I wanted them to think that if they passed it to Sheila, that they were going to be all conference. When they make a pass to Sheila would score a basket, I'd go, great pass, just to get them, keep them. I just had to keep them passing the little Sheila Reagan and let her shoot all the balls. If Sheila shot all the balls, I knew we had a chance to win. So I made those other little girls think that they were better than Sheila, because that pass was more important than the basket.
Absolutely. Get her the ball.
Yeah.
Why does it always come back to girls basketball? Chris Mack. Remember Chris Mack?
It's crazy how many Division I men's basketball head coaches started their careers coaching like middle school or high school girls basketball.
Yeah. But this was a summer job, not a summer job. It was just a job on Saturdays, and I thought I would be refereeing. And I found out they had a little recreation league for little boys and little girls, and they needed somebody to coach the little girls team. So I volunteered, and if it hadn't been for Sheila Reagan, I don't know where I'd be.
That's an amazing story. I love it. Coach, we're gonna put you on the shot clock. LT is gonna fire off like 5 or 6 quick questions. Some of them might be 1-word answers. Some of them might lead to a short story. But the platform's gonna be yours. LT.
And you can't use Sheila Reagan again.
I love that. I love that story.
I wonder what she's doing now.
Yeah.
She came from an awesome family too. Little Pembroke, North Carolina.
Yep.
Yes.
Her brother actually was a starting point guard for my father's high school team, and he was a heck of a player.
Seriously?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, Coach, we're going to start off nice and easy. 1 word to describe the University of Houston.
Ambition.
Okay. So usually I ask a coach their all-time starting 5 of former players, but I'm not going to do that to you. If you put together a starting 5 of all the players you ever coached against, who would be the top 5 players, the starting 5?
Gary Payton, Jason Kidd, Sean Elliott, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul Pierce.
That team is terrible, Coach. I'm just kidding. Who's handling the rock between Jason Kidd and Gary Payton?
Doesn't matter. Irrelevant.
I remember and you might have know of my high school basketball coach. So he played for Mike Jarvis at Boston University. This was before I think he went to George Washington. Guy named was Mark Daly, really good shooter from Hamilton, Ontario. And he had to guard Gary Payton. And he said Gary Payton would not shut up the whole game. That guy would his lips were flapping every second he could. I mean, is that pretty much even in college?
Yeah. Well, I had I think it was was my point guard's freshman year, Benny Seltzer. Benny Seltzer broke Reggie Miller's all-time 3-point shooting record in the Pac-10. but he was my starting point guard. 17-year-old, 18-year-old freshman. We're playing at Gill Coliseum in at Oregon State in Corvallis, and we were hanging with them, but you just could feel the volcano getting ready to erupt. They had a Hall of Fame coach in Ralph Miller, who's one of my all-time favorite guys to coach against because I learned so much coaching against him. But Peyton comes across half court, and he starts backing him down like he's posting him up at the three-point line. So he starts backing him down. Then he works his way over to where I was. I was standing up on the bench. Starts working, and he looks at me and said, "Hey, coach, you ain't going to last long having this dude guard me. You need to get somebody on me. You need to get this dude right here off of me." I don't know if he intimidated Benny, but he intimidated the hell out of me.
Okay. All right.
Most players are talking trash to each other. Yeah. Most players are talking trash to each other, but he looked at you directly in your eye and said, "This one's on you, coach."
Yeah. No, he got me too. And
he was that good. All right, coach. Yeah. What was your toughest recruiting battle? Who was the one player that was the toughest to get?
God, I'd have to think back to all the schools I've coached at.
And you had some very good players at all your schools.
Yeah, I had a kid named Mark Hendrickson that played for me at Washington State.
Oh, I remember that name.
He played, I think, 13 or 14 years in Major League Baseball. He was a pitcher.
Yep.
Kind of a little known trivia deal is I've had two players drafted into NBA and Major League Baseball.
Yep. Ryan Miner.
Ryan Miner was the answer to a great trivia question. When Cal Ripken Jr.'s consecutive game streak ended, who replaced him at
Ryan Miner? Yep.
Ryan Miner. Yep. And then that when he got drafted in June, it was he was the 31st pick by the Philadelphia 76ers. Mm-hmm. The 30th pick was Mark Hendrickson from Washington State. So I coached two guys that were back-to-back from two different. Mark Hendrickson probably was the toughest battle because we needed a breakthrough. We needed to sign a player that would give our fans in school hope that coach could build a program. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's our biggest battle, but he was the most important recruit. The other one would have been Benny Seltzer. Benny Seltzer, Sonny and Wimp were at Auburn in Alabama. And it just so happened that year they had young point guards. And that's how we got Benny. Back then you just I wrote him a letter every day, stationary. Just wrote him a letter every single day. He was 17 years old, lived in East Birmingham, and he had the courage to come play for me at Washington State. Yeah. And then Mark Hendrickson. Those two guys, I would say, was the most important. But I had kids at Oklahoma like that. I had kids at Indiana like that. And I had kids here. We've had a lot of great recruiting classes here, but most of these kids have signed with us after we've had this thing rolling. We've had a bunch of NBA guys now. But at Washington State, I hadn't proved that I could win anything.
Yeah.
They took a leap of faith. Those are the ones I remember the most.
Yeah. So if that was one of your toughest, what is your most memorable or funniest recruiting story? I mean, we've heard of running into screen doors. What else have we heard, Sam? Gone to the wrong city.
Bad chili.
Bad chili.
I had a bad chili night one night. It wasn't chili, it was something else. But
you must know Josh Schertz then, because he had the same issue and he had to have a second serving of it.
No, there's something I ate before I got there. That was the problem. And, yeah. I tried to sit with my legs crossed, and then I put my toes under my calf muscle and started just trying to stay tight. but yeah, I finally had to say, because I could see something getting ready to happen that had the potential to be a disaster. So I asked this father, do you mind if I use your bathroom? And so I went in there. I cut the water in the shower on. I cut both the hot and cold water on because I knew what was getting ready to happen. Wasn't good. The other one, this was in Los Angeles. I'm not going to tell you the kid or the year, but I'm sitting there with the mom and the dad. No, it was the mom. It was the mom and the kid, and there was this was probably about 8 or 9 at night in LA. It was just the three of us. I was there. No assistants were with me, so I was there with the kid and the mom, just three of us. We were talking, and back then you had a VHS. Everybody run around with a stick in the VCR, hit play. You had to know how to hook it up in the back and all that stuff. That's what we were doing back then. This is before laptops and cell phones, actually. But I had them going, talking about Washington State. Kid really liked it. I was probably swinging out of my weight class, but I thought this kid played kind of the way I wanted to coach. But over on the right, I saw a light flicker, and I realized it was a lighter. It was maybe somebody's lighting up a Marlboro or something. Well, that wasn't no Marlboro. It isn't there by himself. And I just kept seeing the embers burning off the end of that joint. And while I'm trying to hold my attention, so finally went, can we open a window?
Did you get either of the kids, Coach?
No. No. The other one I wound up playing against, he actually played in the NBA, was a good player.
Okay.
The other one didn't really make it. He probably should have come play for us, but he didn't. But he was a good kid. I enjoyed recruiting him. He just had a hard time making the decision.
Yeah. You probably enjoyed watching him play or seeing him do it like you enjoyed their bathroom. So, Coach, last question I got for you, okay? So they're doing a Hollywood movie about your life, okay? There's 3 parts to this question, and you can answer them any which way or one over the other, okay? First part of it is the Hollywood movie about your life. Who would play you? What would the title of the movie be? And what would be the theme song?
Who would play me? Probably Kellen.
All right.
My son, as he knows me better than I know myself. It kind of looks like I do a little bit, especially if you spray paint his hair gray or white. Name of the title of the movie. Every day, Kelvin, because I try to be the same person every single day. I don't have highs or lows. I think that's one of the things that helps us with our retention. Our kids know what they're getting into. You mix your humor in with your demands, into your standards, into your accountability. But humor has to be a big part of that. People love to hear the bad stories, but they never hear the relationship off the court or the humor that goes involved. There's a reason our kids don't transfer. As physical as we are, everybody wants to know about how hard our practices are. They're hard enough to keep our kids coming back every year. I'll say that. And what was the third one?
The theme song.
Theme song. Anything by Al Green.
Oh,
nice and smooth. I like it.
I can see that.
I like Al Green.
Yeah.
I like Marvin Gaye. I like Marvin Gaye a lot too. But
Yeah.
I like Al Green, like Marvin Gaye. I like other stuff too, but those two guys are. We were talking about one of the guys I looked up to when I was studying political science and constitutional law and that stuff was Thurgood Marshall.
Yeah.
In 1954, the lawsuit, one of the ones that probably had the biggest difference for minority students was Brown versus Board of Education in 1954. And then Thurgood Marshall went on to create NAACP out of his basement. And I love the fact that he helped people and he had a platform from which to help them. And I've always tried to use that same platform in coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see it, Coach. Coach, you won nothing, you got nothing, but that was really interesting, both every question. But go ahead, Sam. You got the last one, boss.
Yeah, no, we're going to turn it over to you, Coach, last minute of the show. If there's anything you want to share to the University of Houston Cougar fans, faithful, boosters, city of Houston. I mean, I love how you've been able to take a metropolitan area like Houston, turn it into a college sports fan base. Anything you want to share with them with the upcoming season, what they could be looking forward to? The platform's yours.
Yeah, I think I've said this maybe the last 8 years. After our first 3 years, I think is when we really took a huge step. Was that, and I say the same thing every year, Luke and Sam, is that we're going to be good. I think we're going to be good. I don't know how good. It's you work in June and July in anonymity, and when nobody's around. September and October are different than the summer. Then all of a sudden, you get to November, and you get to see them make mistakes. You get to see them play inconsistent as you're growing and as you're building. You go up, especially with young kids. This is not the first. Jarris Walker was a freshman. Probably the best freshman I've ever coached is Eric Gordon. He was a man amongst boys. I don't think I did one thing to help Eric. He was so talented and so tough. I probably learned more from him than he did from me. But the freshman I have on this team gets talked about a lot. But they're all great kids, and they come from great families, and they want to do good. They want to be good. Everybody says those are good gets. Well, it's 50-50. They chose us. They chose us as much as we chose them. And they did it. They took their visits, they built their relationships, and they chose to come play at the University of Houston. And I think that's a win for our city. I think it's a win for our university. Obviously our program, but we're proud to be part of one of the greatest cities in the country, in Houston, Texas. We have great relationships with, D'Amico Ryan, the head coach for the Texans. I talked to him every day for 4 days in a week. He brought his son to our basketball camp. His son's going to be a good little player too. I know he's going to be good in football. He's going to be good in basketball too. Houston Astros, I just had lunch with the owner, Jim Crane, took me out to about noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We went over and just walked around Dawkins Stadium. It used to be Minute Maid, but where the Astros play, and talked about a number of things. The highlight of the day is we walked by Jose Altuve's locker, and he grabbed one of his bat and gave it to me. I wanted to say, is Jose okay with this? But I said, well, hell, he's the owner. He can do what he wants to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then Tillman Fertitta, whose name is on this arena, and son Patrick are doing an incredible job building the Rockets. They got the city buzzing with Kevin Durant. And then you have University of Houston. I mean, this is a a sports fans nirvana right now. We got great pro sports. We've got a basketball program that's been consistently good over the years, and we're just proud to be here, proud to represent our city, and proud to represent our state.
Yep. Well, Coach, you're going to stick on for one more second. We really appreciate you coming on the show. We're big fans of yours. We're really excited for this year. And Cougar fans interested in season ticket packages, Coach, call Coach Kelvin Sampson. He's willing to sell them to you. Which is funny because you probably did that when you first started. I saw you working the student. I mean, it's really a testament to what you and your staff has done, and also the players have done and the administration. But Coach, you're going to stick on one more second. Like I said, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Follow us on the Full Court Network social media handles. Be back next week on the Full Court Press, College Basketball Coaches Show.